What is going on, everyone? Got another video for you today talking about Cyberpunk 2077 once again, and this is going to be ongoing coverage as things evolve, so stay tuned for more updates on this. I did make a previous video talking about this and kind of my opinion and, talking about the future of CD Projekt Red as a studio and all of the implications from this really turbulent launch and their falling stock prices. So yeah, and this is an updating situation, and the most recent thing that has just happened is there is now discussion of a class action lawsuit against CD Projekt Red for fraudulent actions, are what they're calling it. Essentially, that they misleaded people, which they absolutely did. Here's a direct quote from an article: misrepresentation in order to receive financial benefits. But before we talk about that, I want to give a very brief background of what is going on for those of you who have probably heard some of this, but you only know about the glitches and bugs. You might not be up to date on all the drama, so I'll try to do it as condensed and as fast as possible here. Basically, long story short, CD Projekt Red lied about how the game was going to perform on consoles. They censored journalists from being able to show their own gameplay of bugs on PC, and then deliberately withheld gameplay and review codes of the console versions. So that information would not be available to consumers before launch. This, of course, did not end well for them. The game came out very buggy and glitchy on all platforms, but especially horrific on consoles. And this led them to issue a public apology where they're basically trying to save face with gamers and smooth things over with their investors as their stock prices were falling dramatically, which they have still continued to do so. And they said basically, if you can't get a refund from Sony, you can get one from us. That wasn't entirely true, though, as people found out, where the system maybe was just so backlogged, people were just getting automated responses and actually not getting refunds, and Sony was not giving refunds. Sony got so fed up with the whole process that they literally pulled it from the PlayStation Store because they felt lied and misled too. And from what I've been reading and researching, both Microsoft and Sony both feel lied to. They did get past the certification process, so there is some fault on both Sony and Microsoft there. But from like I said, from what I've read and researched, they were both under the impression that the patches that they were going to release on launch day were going to fix a lot of these issues. And then being a really, a really notable studio, and this being a particularly well-known hyped game that was going to be coming out, they gave CD Projekt Red the benefit of doubt, and of course it backfired. Sony doesn't want to deal with the refunds, so they just pulled it from their platform entirely, and I would not be surprised if Microsoft ends up doing the same as well. And that's kind of a short synopsis. There's been some other stuff that's going on. They released, some second, kind of statements and talking about this. There's been investor calls where the investors are very ticked off at all of this, and it's just been a real mess. This entire launch has been an absolute catastrophe, which is really disappointing because the actual game story itself is very promising, and if they just waited until this game was truly ready, it really could have been one of the most renowned and well-respected games. And CD Projekt Red as a studio, the future would look very bright for them, but it does not. And if you want to hear my take on that, you can go check out a much longer video where I talk about kind of the future implications of all of this, and some more general background. But that video was made before a lot of these ongoing developments. So with all of that out of the way, and kind of as short as I can, summarizing everything for you because a lot has happened, let's talk about this this lawsuit that it's not confirmed that this is going to happen, but it sounds like it is going to happen. They are strongly considering it. And so let's read some of this. IGN has reported on this. The New York Times has even reported on this. I've seen this from several different news sources, but I'm going to be looking specifically at the IGN one. And I feel like IGN feels explicitly slighted by CD Projekt Red because they were denied from releasing their own gameplay during their, pre-release review access code that they were given, and they had to use canned footage instead, and were also not given Xbox and any console gameplay. And so I think IGN's pretty pissed off at CD Projekt Red in general, because they look bad as a result from putting out this review, and then the game, they feel pissed too, and rightfully so. Thankfully, people aren't really taking it out on IGN, because CD Projekt Red is the people at fault, and not the developers. I said this in the other video. The developers worked very hard on this game, and I'm sure that they begged for more time to really polish it. This was a very ambitious game for what is not a huge studio. Yes, they are a multi-million-dollar studio, but they are not some massive LA game studio. So it's the publishers at fault here. They pushed this game out this holiday season to try to cash in on the hype. They really they effed themselves over. They had the short-sighted gains of the money that they could have right now, and they weren't thinking about all the ramifications this could lead to. And I think it was a really, really dumb decision for them that could end up really, really just tanking the company's future. So let's talk about this lawsuit now. I'm going to be reading some direct quotes here. CD Projekt Red could be the target of a class action lawsuit that accuses the developer of, quote, misrepresentation in order to receive financial benefits. And they, of course, did this. They have admitted this in their public responses, and said that, we should have given consumers all the information to make a more, informed decision or something along that sorts. And it's like, they're not really sorry. They've shown that they're not sorry, that they did this to cash in on the hype, cash in on the money, and they, I guess, weren't expecting as much backlash as they received. I'm not really sure how they thought this was going to go over. Apparently, this controversy began when the embargo for Cyberpunk 27 reviews lifted, so they've been considering this pretty much immediately, it sounds like. And IGN talks about how they only received the PC version game. They weren't allowed to initially show footage, which I am sure they are very salty about. It goes on to kind of give some background about this, and all the different stuff. They mentioned that the seizure warnings, stuff like that, which they did have to add in, and if you load in the game now, you'll see it before you actually get to any gameplay. But that was not the original case. So yeah, it is just really bad. And the other part that really stuck out to me, this is a short article, and if you want to read more, you can check out other review sources to get a little more information. But as of now, we don't really know what's going to happen with this. I think it's definitely going to happen, but I'm not 100% positive if it will. But I think it's very, very likely it will actually come to fruition. I mean, they have really good grounds for the fact that they misrepresented things in order to receive financial benefits, and laws in Poland are different than they are in the US, and I don't know a lot about them, but from just reading generally and doing some background, it seems like they're a little more stricter on that kind of stuff than they are here in the US. Correct me if I'm wrong, but from my initial research into this, I'm not from Poland, like I said, I'm from the United States. I'm not a lawyer, obviously, but yeah, that's just kind of my take on it. But the big thing that I noticed here at the end of the article was that CD Projekt Red stock price dropped 29%. This is far more than it was the last video I made, where I believe it was around 12%. So it's literally doubled, and which is it's more shocking because this game actually was a huge retail success, and this shows that investors are doubting the future of the company. Like I talked about in my other video, this is more than just like a short-term issue. This has completely undermined trust in the company itself from not only gamers but from investors. And so on a financial level, CD Projekt Red as a studio and as a publisher could be really, really screwed going forward, and I don't think they likely will ever be the same company again. I don't think they're going to have the same kind of budgets that they were able to do, for example, in Cyberpunk, or I think it's going to be a downhill road for them, and I kind of talk about that more in another video, but it all, of course, still applies. So that's kind of the situation right now. I will be making more videos covering Cyberpunk, general, stuff as it goes on. I'll eventually be doing a review once I've really had time to play a lot of the game and all that good stuff. I've done some ray tracing coverage if you want to look at that, comparing it. I got lots more coverage on this and news updates for you, so stay tuned if you're interested. And yeah, check out some other videos on my channel if you for example, want to see some other stuff about Cyberpunk. So with that, thank you very much. And if you're seeing this before the holidays have occurred, whether you're celebrating Christmas, Kwanzaa, Hanukkah, or the New Year, whatever, happy holidays to all of you. And with that, have a good day.